So BlazBlue is sort of dead, and I think that's okay. It's so weird saying that, but it's the truth, you know? Like BlazBlue as we knew it is sort of gone, right? So we already know that the creator Toshimichi Mori, the guy pretty much the very skeleton of BlazBlue itself, is gone. The fact that he left means that we aren't going to get more story from him regarding BlazBlue. And I want to separate this whole story thing from like the regular fighting game aspects of it, you know, like BlazBlue in a sense is two separate games mixed into one. It's a visual novel and it's also a fighting game, right? So I want to take the story part and just separate that right now from the fighting game parts, because I want to talk about the fighting game parts a little bit later. But for now, I want to talk about the story stuff because that's what I'm mostly interested in, and that's what I mainly want to talk about as of this moment. Now, before I go any further, I will be talking about Guilty Gear Strive. And the reason I make a disclaimer like this is because every time I want to talk about Guilty Gear Strive and BlazBlue at the same time, there's always someone who wants to kind of just devalue one game to talk about the other or complain. I don't want to hear it. This is not a video to shit on Guilty Gear Strive. I actually like playing Strive, and so this won't be a video to shit on Arc System Works either, or Guilty Gear Strive, or the people behind it, just to talk about BlazBlue. Because that's what it's pretty much devolved into nowadays. People want to shit on BlazBlue to talk about Guilty Gear. People want to shit on Guilty Gear to talk about BlazBlue. I don't want to hear it. I am beyond tired of hearing Guilty Gear Strive discourse in all its forms. I am so sick and tired. You can hate the game all you want. I don't care. I legit don't care if you hate the game. Like, you have if you hate the game, you have options. You can play Guilty Gear XX, you can play XR. I legit do not care. If you don't like Strive, I legit could give less of a shit. But when I start caring, it's when it constantly gets thrown at me, and I have constantly to see it, and I can't talk about BlazBlue nowadays without hearing some Guilty Gear Strive bullshit or Arc System bullshit. I'm tired. Just if you want to put it in my comments, leave it out of my comments, please. I never make disclaimers like this, but please, for the love of God, don't do it. Okay, let's actually talk about BlazBlue now. Sweet Jesus. So without Mori, the story of BlazBlue kind of ends right here. There is no one else outside of the light novel writer Mako Kamau who could continue the story. Even then, he's just the writer for the light novels. Mori is a supervisor. You kind of need to pass everything through Mori in order to, you know, to even get the story out there to begin with. So Mori is gone, which means no more BlazBlue's story, ever. So where do we end off on the story of BlazBlue? Well, that's an alternative Dark War. And alternative Dark War didn't really get anywhere before the story got canned. So ignoring alternative Dark War and going back to BlazBlue Central Fiction, does BlazBlue Central Fiction's story end off on a good enough note to call it the finale of the whole series, rather than Ragnar's ending? Now, as we already know, BlazBlue Central Fiction was meant to be Ragnar's last game as the protagonist, and we assume that the story was going to continue on with a new protagonist from there. And I feel like that's what BlazBlue Alternative Dark War was trying to do. Hell, you even look at the trailer and it has a little tagline of it being a reboot of sorts. This game was going to be a soft reboot of the BlazBlue series moving forward. And hell, it even had the word alternative in the title. Like BlazBlue Alternative, like you can't get more moving forward / reboot with this, right? So does Central Fiction seem like it could be the ending for BlazBlue? And I do think so, yes. Ragnar's done all he could. We follow his story from beginning to end. And even though there's some lingering plot threads with certain characters, I'm okay with that. I'm legit okay with that because there's not too many plot threads left behind that needed a drastic new game for, right? Like, for example, using BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma as an example, that game was deliberately left on a cliffhanger so that when Central Fiction came out, we'd have all the answers and stuff in that game, right? And Central Fiction ends on a decent enough note. Like, all the characters get to move on in a brand new world. Ragnar's gone, you know, Jin and Noel get to live on with their lives. You know, a lot of characters got their happy endings in this game. Some characters died, but their stories end there, right? They don't need to come back through some crazy means in order to continue the story. I do feel like Central Fiction is the true definitive ending of BlazBlue. Again, yes, we have Alternative Dark War, which is canon and it does continue onwards from Central Fiction, but Alternative Dark War didn't make it far enough to count as like an ending. Like if it was an ending, it was left completely short. And if I'm counting this as its own little reboot side thing of sorts, then there we go. It didn't get far enough to even consider itself a full story, so we can't really even analyze Alternative Dark War through that kind of lens. So Central Fiction, yes, I do believe Central Fiction is the ending of BlazBlue, and I think it's a good enough ending to consider, hey, it's over, right? The story is over. We don't have to worry about it no more. There's nothing we can do with this, and I'm okay with that. At the very least, at least Mori was able to finish Ragnar's story. Like BlazBlue could have ended maybe years ago, right? It could have ended in Chrome Phantasma, and we've been left on a stupid ass cliffhanger that I'm still shocked that they even made into the game, and people had to deal with for years until BlazBlue Central Fiction came out and answered that question and stuff like that. You know, it's just funny to me how Central Fiction was intended to be Ragnar's ending, but it does feel like a good ending for a lot of other characters. Like it doesn't have too many lingering plot threads to where we would have to make a whole another game to fix, right? And I feel like we don't need to add more to BlazBlue. I feel like we have enough with, from Calamity Trigger all the way to Central Fiction. I think we have enough to make this a full story that we don't need to continue onwards for them. So if BlazBlue were to continue going forward, I would be real, nothing would feel the same at all. Now, the prime example of that would be BlazBlue Entropy Effect. BlazBlue Entropy Effect is not made by Arc System Works, it's made by 91 Act. They are the publisher and developer of this game. Arc System Works did not even publish BlazBlue Entropy Effect. They let 91 Act use the license to make their own game from it. And they already know about 91 Act because 91 Act also did the mobile game BlazBlue Revolution Reburning, right? So they already had a history with this company. And 91 Act is a Chinese company as well. So, there's already a market for Arc System Works in the Chinese, in China, right? And 91 Act made BlazBlue Entropy Effect, which is a roguelike game using the BlazBlue characters and the BlazBlue IP. Now, I mentioned this before in a previous video where I said that BlazBlue Entropy Effect really isn't a BlazBlue game because the only thing that really even considers it BlazBlue is you're using the characters and it has the name BlazBlue written on the title. So I said that before, and it's still true. It's still a good game. So 91 Act can very at least be trusted to make more BlazBlue stuff because they've made a good game. I think that's the one thing that I really want to talk about more, because Entropy Effect is a good game, and it's definitely seemed like we're going to get more content down the road, so there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's a good thing, right? But I have to go back and mention the fact that 91 Act is both the developer and the publisher. Arc System Works did not even touch this game. They haven't really talked about anything else about this game, and they haven't talked about it since it came out, like at all. So we can already assume that 91 Act just did their thing. They're still updating the game. Arc System Works isn't touching BlazBlue right now, so they're focusing on Guilty Gear. They've said that before, that they're focusing on Guilty Gear, which is perfectly fine. A lot of people are pissed about the idea of that, Guilty Gear is getting a lot of focus and BlazBlue isn't, but to be fair, that's how it was going to be anyway, right? Again, as I mentioned before, BlazBlue is at a state where there's nothing much that can be done with it now without Mori. So what will be the point of trying to put resources to something that they don't feel like they can work with into a game it just be no point, right? You know what I mean? So like Guilty Gear, who still has Daisuke at the helm, which I want to stress, personally for me, I do not trust Arc System Works with BlazBlue just by themselves, right? Again, Mori was a big part of the series, and without him, Arc System Works are the main people behind it, right? They could do whatever they want with it. BlazBlue could literally turn into anything at this point, Like, at least with Guilty Gear still has Daisuke at the helm. He's not the director of Strive, but he's still Daisuke. He still has control over the series. He's still making music. He's still here, right? Like, it doesn't matter personally for me, it doesn't matter what folks think of Strive. It will still be Guilty Gear as long as Daisuke is there. A lot of people say Strive isn't Guilty Gear, or Strive is this, Strive is that, whatever. I've already said that in the beginning of the video that I don't want to hear any discourse. I'm tired of hearing it. But Strive is still Guilty Gear. It still has Daisuke. it still has Guilty Gear. Whatever your opinions on it may be, it's still Guilty Gear. So, but without Mori, BlazBlue has lost its entire structure and existence as the game it is. There's nothing keeping BlazBlue afloat without the guy who came up with the concept of BlazBlue, created the characters, directed the game, planned the game out, did the scenarios, was the voice director for the Japanese version, like a bunch of other shit involving the series as a whole. And I'm not saying Mori is like the one-man show. Like he didn't do completely, literally everything in the game, but he did a majority of the shit in the series. It's his creation. And without the creator of this creation, what do you have left? The rights holders. And they could do whatever they want with it, right? And that's what's going to happen. Arc System Works is just going to do whatever they want with it. They could have. They haven't done it yet. I mean, they started with Entropy Effect, so that's one thing already. But they didn't even create Entropy Effect. And from that recent interview, I talked about how they are going to let let a Korean company known as Machiavel use the license for BlazBlue to create some mobile PC game, whatever. They aren't the ones going to be touching the BlazBlue for a while. The fact that 91 Act is the developer and publisher of BlazBlue Entropy Effect, it says a lot, right? It says a lot right there. So if Machiavel's probably going to be the publisher and developer of this new mobile BlazBlue game, whatever have you, that's it. You know, Arc System Works is going to touch it. And they've already said that. So there's really no point in me bitching about it, because they said it themselves, we're focusing on Guilty Gear. We're going to keep BlazBlue alive, but we're working on Guilty Gear. And I think that's all I can really say about that. Now, there's a crowd of folks that think that, hey, maybe we should give the license back to Mori. Will Arc System Works give it the rights of BlazBlue to Mori? No. Arc System Works are the owners of the BlazBlue IP, and as the owners, they can do whatever they want with the license because it will make them money. So that would be pointless just to give it to Mori. He may be the creator and the guy behind BlazBlue, but Arc System Works ultimately owns it, and they can literally do whatever they want with it. Plus, it's clear that Mori is moving on from BlazBlue in a sense, right? He's already shown up new stuff for his new game. We don't know what's going to be yet, but there are clear callbacks to BlazBlue, very blatant ones, but it's going to show that, you know, he's going to use the ideas he had for BlazBlue in his own way, right? And even though he doesn't have it, he can still, you know, do what he wants. I mean, his ideas, you know what I mean? He just can't use the exact ideas he had for BlazBlue because he doesn't own those rights. And when you really think about it, Mori never really owned the rights to BlazBlue. Daisuke doesn't even own the rights to Guilty Gear. Arc System Works own these. I mean, hell, Daisuke could literally leave and they could still continue with the series with whatever. I mean, yeah, Guilty Gear will lose its music. It'll lose its musical identity. It'll lose all its wacky character lore and basically everything that made Guilty Gear, but it'll still exist, just like BlazBlue. I hate saying that because there's a lot of work that these guys have put into these games that made them what they are, and if you just take them away, it's kind of just, you know, it is what it is. Like, it's a husk. And I hate saying that, but as I said before about the whole rights thing, yeah, it's not gonna happen. They honestly, I would think Arc System Works would be stupid to actually give the rights to Mori. And the only reason I say that personally is because why would they give it to him when they can make money off of it? Why would they give him this franchise that they know there's a big fan base for, that they know people want to see more of, to Mori? Now, Mori is basically starting over from scratch. He has his own studio. He's basically starting from the bottom and going on up, right? So even if he were to get BlazBlue back, he would need all the resources and all the stuff he needs to bring this back. And, you know, BlazBlue was being funded by Arc System Works. And without Arc System Works' funding, what could a new BlazBlue game even look like or even be? It'll have Mori there, but I don't think he would have, like, the actual funding and stuff like that to keep BlazBlue the way it used to be. Stuff like that. I'm just spitballing here. I'm just spitballing ideas. I don't think Mori, in his current situation, in his new studio, could even do anything with BlazBlue that people would enjoy about why we have BlazBlue now, right? It sucks to say that, But that's my opinion right there, and I hate saying it because I would love for Mori to get BlazBlue back. But at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, well, Mori could bring it back with the story and make it a new fighting game and yada yada. But like we don't know what his new studio is going to be about. We don't know anything. It's too fresh, right? And like we only know that right now Mori is trying to create some action game with new characters and stuff like that. So we already seeing him trying to start over, right, with his own new project. And I feel like even with BlazBlue, we don't even know what this game would even look like. Like a new BlazBlue made by Mori, not with Arc System Works, would be weird, right? He's the guy who created the series, but at the same time, he's not with the company that funded him and gave him the money and the resources to get the series to the point where it is. And that's the sad part. We don't know what a BlazBlue will even look like with Mori at Studio Flair. I wouldn't like it either. Will Arc System Works use other studios to work on BlazBlue just to keep the IP going? Yes. I mentioned already before that 91 Act was the developer and publisher of BlazBlue Entropy Effect. And it kind of tells you right there that, and plus that little interview I talked about with McAville, it clears to show that Arc System Works aren't going to touch it for a while, right? It would make sense from a financial standpoint to have Guilty Gear be worked on because of how big it is right now, right? Have some other companies work on BlazBlue just to keep the IP fresh. Because as much as people want to say Arc System Works would keep BlazBlue dead, they're not trying to keep BlazBlue dead. They're still trying to keep it going. They're just not going to make BlazBlue fighting games for a while. They're still wanting to keep the IP active so people will enjoy BlazBlue stuff. But at the same time, they're not going to make a fighting game themselves. I mean, would it make sense to find a fighting game developer to help them make a fighting game? Yeah. But I don't think they would even want to take that risk because it will turn BlazBlue into something completely different than it's not, right? It would just make more sense to have BlazBlue be worked on by different companies that could just make a BlazBlue whatever, you know what I mean? Like, again, Entropy Effect was a roguelike, so maybe they can make a BlazBlue beat-em-up game. They did with Revolution Reburning, so I don't see why they couldn't. They have the assets to do that with. They have the character sprites and stuff like that, so it would make sense from a financial standpoint to have other companies just come in and help on BlazBlue just to keep the IP fresh. And as cynical as that sounds, it happens all the time in companies, and I hate saying it like that, but it is what it is, right? And will we see a BlazBlue fighting game in the future? I honestly don't know. I could say yes, but that yes has a big asterisk on it. That yes has a massive, massive asterisk on it because for now, all I see BlazBlue is random mobile games and PC games. No fighting game in the meantime, right? Again, the focus on Guilty Gear is there. Whatever your opinions on Strive are, it can't be denied how big Guilty Gear has gotten because of Strive. It just cannot be denied. And I feel like it would make sense for Arc System Works to coast off that. Like, Guilty Gear has never been this big before. At the end of the day, Arc System Works is still a company. There's still a business that needs to make money in order to keep making these games to begin with. And if they want to make money off BlazBlue by not actually making the BlazBlue games, that's within their right to do so. And it is what it is. And as much, I love BlazBlue to death. Like, I think that's obvious. I've made so many different videos on BlazBlue. I've talked about BlazBlue so much. I damn near talk about something about BlazBlue every day of my life. And it hurts to say it, but at the same time, I'm not going to really trip about it too hard. It's annoying having to seeing one of my favorite franchises not get a new game. But at the same time, you can't really do much when you lost the main guy, when the company themselves don't even want to focus on it. And it's just how it is what it is. All I can really say, it is what it is. That's basically a line I have to constantly say just to remind myself of what state BlazBlue is in right now, right? And there's nothing that we can do about it. I'm just going to be real right there. There's nothing we can do about it. We can scream to the high heavens that we want BlazBlue back, we want BlazBlue this, but it's not really going to work until Arc System Works decides what they're going to do with the game. If BlazBlue just gets relegated to mobile game hell, then that's how it is. If BlazBlue just gets a random pachinko game out of nowhere, that's it, right? it's not going to affect me seeing it, because at the same time, like, if Mori's gone, BlazBlue won't be the same. And I would rather have BlazBlue stop where it is than be something later than it's not. And I hear the same thing about Guilty Gear Strive, but Guilty Gear Strive is still being made by Arc System Works and Daisuke and everyone in his team to make that game. It's still Guilty Gear Strive. I know a lot of people hate the gameplay. I know a lot of people hate the changes to the characters. I hear that a lot. But it's still Guilty Gear at the end of the day. It's still Guilty Gear. It's a lot of people got into it, and I think that should be celebrated. I feel like Guilty Gear even getting this big and having being beloved by a bunch of people, seeing a bunch of fan art, new music, new characters, like getting an anime, I think that should be celebrated. I really do, because like I love Guilty Gear. I've always wanted more people to get into that series, and they have, right? And I think that should be celebrated. But with BlazBlue, like, you know, people could say like its legacy kind of just went down the tubes, right? People love Central Fiction. Me, I'm not the biggest Central Fiction fan. I love it, don't get me wrong, but once that dub whole situation got started, that's when I got soured on the game. I think the English dub made a lot of the characters like stick out for me in BlazBlue, and when it gone, it kind of like soured my mood. But it won't deny the fact that I think BlazBlue Central Fiction is a really good game. And a lot of people don't think too highly about BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle, despite the fact that I personally love Cross-Tag Battle, at least now. It took the 2.0 to get there, but I like Cross-Tag Battle, and having to hear discourse about it to this very day is tiring, right? I've heard everything that anyone could ever say about BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle, so I'm not even going to worry about it no more. It's the same thing over and over again. It's like an Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. It's the same shit again and again. You hear it all the time, right? So BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle, people that weren't hot on it, it cannot be denied that game had a troubled development cycle. It cannot be denied that people don't like the game for its gameplay changes and extra stuff like, you know, tag stuff, Ruby characters, like the game not having enough content, game not having enough characters, that sort of thing, right? There's so much to already talk about the game. And Alternative Dark War, it died so fast, you really can't even say much. I mean, the game was never localized, so it never had a global release. You know, all you got is the bits of story and a gacha. And as much as I don't want to say it, a lot of series get mobile gacha games that die pretty fast, or just mobile gacha games in general. This was not going to change anything about BlazBlue one way or the other. But Mori left, and I want to believe that he left, seeing how Cross-Tag Battle didn't do so hot. Alternative Dark War died super fast, despite the fact that it was in development for like about 4 years. It was announced in 2017 and then died in 2021. Sorry, 2022, but it got announced it was going to die in 2021 when it was released in 2021. So, yeah, Mori probably saw that as like, you know what? There's nothing I can do anymore. And I want to believe that he wanted to do something more with BlazBlue. He wanted BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle. You could definitely see in the interviews that he's really happy about getting all these franchises together and stuff like that. Of course, he wanted to make a crossover fighting game with BlazBlue, you know, and it didn't turn out too well because of poor managing. Like, Arc System Works and Mori are to blame for that. Like, you know, even though I'm bummed out that Mori is gone and that he was the very heart and soul of BlazBlue, he is part of the reason why BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle is the way it is. He's part of the reason why BlazBlue Alternative Dark War even exists. He's the reason these games are here. You know what I mean? So, like, he's not completely clear of this. even though it sucks, but, you know, he is the reason Cross-Tag Battle and Alternative Dark War are the way they are. And it is what it is. He's gone. So Arc System Works are the owners of the property. Don't know what's going to happen, but all we can assume is that the only upcoming BlazBlue game that we know of could be a mobile or PC game, or both. You know, there's mobile games on PC, so it doesn't really matter. But that's all I really wanted to talk about. I love BlazBlue to death. Am I happy that the franchise is going down this route? No. I would love a new game, but at the same time, I feel like if Central Fiction ended off on the way it did, if Central Fiction can be considered the last BlazBlue game, then I'm okay with it. Despite my gripes with Central Fiction, I do believe that if this could be intended as the true ending of BlazBlue and the last game, I'd be okay with that, right? I would rather have BlazBlue end off on a good note than suddenly keep going and with no direction in sight, right? Like completely aimless. Like, I say the same thing about Darkstalkers all the time. I would love a new Darkstalkers game, but I don't feel comfortable seeing a new Darkstalkers game without its original passion, right? And I just wouldn't see that with BlazBlue because, again, Mori is gone. And I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to be completely hateful towards Arc System Works. Like, I love their games. I wouldn't be buying Dragon Ball FighterZ or Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Yeah, granted, they're not the publisher of those games, but they did develop those games. BlazBlue, Guilty Gear. Like, you know, I wouldn't still be sticking with Arc System Works if their business practices destroyed my love for the game. I don't know. I don't know. I can be happy knowing that BlazBlue had a good run, though. I can be happy. I can accept that. BlazBlue has 4 wonderful games that people could play anytime on Steam. Like, you can buy Calamity Trigger, Continuous Shift Extend, Chrono Phantasm Extend, and Central Fiction. And I do even believe that Cross-Type Battle does not deserve all the hate it gets, at least now. Like, after all the DLC business and stuff like that, I believe that if you bought Cross-Type Battle now, I think you would enjoy it. If not, fair enough, right? But I do believe that BlazBlue has 5 good games. Yeah, I wanted to add Cross-Type Battle on there. I might as well say 5. Yeah, I do believe that BlazBlue had a good run. I really do. You got all these fun games you can play with your friends. Now you have rollback with Central Fiction and Cross-Type Battle, so you know you can play online smoothly with your friends. You have enough games to talk enough about lore to. BlazBlue's current universe is so expansive. There's so much lore to talk about. You know, there's people still translating the light novels and translating stuff, so you can even learn from them. Tons of cool artwork from all over the series. A massive community of people. I really like talking about BlazBlue with other people because there's so much to talk about, and that's all I really have to say. I'm not gonna make a cheesy video about Sayonara BlazBlue this or whatever, but if there is something in the horizon for BlazBlue, I will be there. I'll play it. Like, there's nothing gonna stop me from enjoying the series just because it's not gonna get any more games that I would want. I mean, I'm still gonna be there to see if anything new BlazBlue related, new artwork, new promotional stuff. I don't care. It's still a series I like, and I'm still going to stick with it. Like, I don't think BlazBlue's going to get to that point where, like, there's going to be something so horrid that I'll never recover ever again. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but we just have to wait and see. So I will see y'all next time. Sorry if this video was massively long. I wasn't expecting to ramble on this long, but I just wanted to get all my thoughts out there, talk about the series. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, BlazBlue is dead. And I think that's okay.